Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari
Radha Madhava
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamunatira Bonachari Yamunatira Bonachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Sri Radha Madhava ki jai, Sri Radha Giridhari ki jai, Gantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Jai Om Viṣṇu Paramahamsa Parivrajaka Jaja Shotara Shri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Jai Om Viṣṇu Paramahamsa Parivrajaka Jaja Shotara Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Saranta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada ki jai, Nantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Samveda Bhakti ki jai, Go Premanandi, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories assembled devotees, all glories assembled devotees, all glories, Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Hare Krishna. So this morning reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam 10th Canto, Chapter 1, the Advent of Lord Krishna, Introduction. This is text 67. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Mataram Pitaram Bratrin Sarvam Cha Suridas Tata Gnanti He Ashub Tripto Ashub Tripto? Yeah, Ashutripo. Lubdha Rajanaha Prayasho Bhuvi Mataram Pitaram Bratrin Sarvam Scha Suridastata Nanti Yasutripto Lubdha Rajana Prayasho Bhuvi Mataram Pitaram Bratrin Sarvam Scha Suridastata Nanti hasutripto lubda Rajana prayasho bhuvi. Anyone like to chant? Mataram pritaram bratrim sarvamscha suridastata Gananti yapsutapto lubda Rajana prayasho bhuvi. Mataram pitaram bratrin sarvamscha suridastata Gnanti asutato lubda Rajana prayaso bhuvi. One more. Mataram pitaram bratrim sarvamscha suridastata Yanti asatripto lubda Rajana prayaso bhuvi. Anyone online?
Mataram pitaram bratrin
Mataram pitaram bratrim
sarvamscha suridastata
sarvamscha suridastata
Gnanti asutripo lubda
Gnanti asatripto lubda
Rajana prayasho bhuvi.
Rajana prayaso bhuvi. Mataram unto the mother, pitaram unto the father, bratrin unto brothers, sarvan cha and anyone else, surida friends, tata as well as nantiyani. They kill as it is practically seen. He, indeed, asutriptaha, those who envy the lives of others for their personal sense gratification. Lubdha, greedy, rajagna, such kings, prayasa, almost always, bhuvi, on the earth. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Kings greedy for sense gratification on this earth almost always kill their enemies indiscriminately. To satisfy their own whims, they may kill anyone, even their mothers, fathers, brothers, or friends. Purport. We have seen in the history of India that Aurangzeb killed his brothers and nephews and imprisoned his father to fulfill political ambitions. There have been many similar instances, and Kamsa was the same type of king. Kamsa did not hesitate to kill his nephews and imprison his sister and his father. For demons to do such things is not astonishing. Nevertheless, although Kamsa was a demon, he was aware that Lord Viṣṇu cannot be killed, and thus he attained salvation. Even partial understanding of the activities of Lord Viṣṇu makes one eligible for salvation. Kamsa knew a little about Krishna and that he could not be killed, and therefore he attained salvation, although he thought of Viṣṇu, Krishna, as an enemy. What then is to be said of one who knows Krishna perfectly from the descriptions of the Shastras like Bhagavad Gita? It is therefore the duty of everyone to read Bhagavad Gita and understand Krishna perfectly. This will make one's life successful. Om Gyantimirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chaksulunminitam Dina Taismai Sri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Mano Bhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupakaramayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sri Gaur Bhakti Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Banchika Patarupashta Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. All glories to the assembled devotees. By your ardent prayers, and eagerness, I'll try to say a few words this morning. There's a few words. It's true eloquence. You know that verse in Chaitanya Charitamrita about what true eloquence is? What is it? Is that a yes or a no? You're doing the bobble there.
I think it's like truth spoken precisely, true eloquence or something.
Yes, that's exactly it. You said yes, so I'll be very eloquent this morning. I'll just say a few words. Precise and to the point. Kings greedy for sense gratification on this earth almost always kill their enemies indiscriminately. To satisfy their own whims, they may kill anyone, even their mothers, fathers, brothers, or friends. So there's a contrast here in the purport. Very unfortunate. The lower we sink in the modes of material nature, human beings become just like animals. Sometimes people are offended. I remember Yudhisthira Prabhu in the good old days. Big Yudi, preaching here with Gunagraya Maharaj and so on. One of his favorite verses was hogs, dogs, camels, and asses. Like that. Hogs, dogs, camels, and asses. Hogs, dogs, camels, and asses. So people can get offended if you call them a hog, dog, camel, or ass. Or all four of them, right? So how can you compare me to a hog, a dog, a camel, or ass? And Prabhupada very, succinctly or precisely, it explains how we are hogs, dogs, camels, and asses, and we're similar in our activities. The point is, the lower in the modes of nature we go, then it becomes very, very animalistic. And if you study, it doesn't take long. I always notice that they have these National Geographic, in fact, the devotees took one of those, National Geographic specials on Africa and the animals in Africa. Remember that? It was the devotees years ago. It was a Tashapan. Remember that? The devotees were given. They stage it like a talk show between a host and so on and someone, and they have scenes from it. It was all those shows. They're just doing two things. Pretty much, they're eating each other and having sex. They're mating, all these national. That's what's going on out there, and most of it's just about how they hunt and kill each other. That's what's going on. You're either the what is that? You're either being hunted or you're the predator. And you turn around the next day, you're being hunted. So you can imagine how horrible that must be. Their consciousness must be dulled to be even to survive, right? Very forgetful that yesterday, half the day you were being pursued by some animal who wanted to eat you and you escaped. How could you live? How could you even live? So they're very, very dull consciousness. I give the example when I was living in Mississippi on the farm there. They have armadillos in that area. Not that on the farm you don't raise armadillos, but you have armadillos. You know what armadillo looks like? Okay? Pretty dull animal. And you'd be walking to the temple in the morning from Mangal Artik, and you have armadillos go in front of you. And they get scared, and they run about 10 feet, then they stop because they forget why they're running. They run about 10 feet, then they just forget it. And that's why armadillos don't live very long. But it's just the modes of nature are so thick that ignorance, you just forget. But the point is, it's very vicious. Animal life is very, very vicious, and that's why it's compared to animal life. And that's what's described here, that human beings, when they give up the cultivation of the mode of goodness and sink down to ignorance and passion, it's like Prabhupada says here, to do such things is not astonishing. So people controlled by the lower modes of nature, don't be astonished at what they do. People go, oh my God, did you hear what happened? Well, don't be astonished. They're all in the modes of ignorance and passion, that this happened and that happened, personal lives and on the national or international news. Don't be at all astonished. They're like animals. They're just barking. Probably it's like the just barking at each other, like what is that? The United Nations. They're just barking. They just bark at each other. Or probably give the example of immigration. You come to the bark, bark, bark. You can't come in here. So they're just like animals. So the fact that from time to time it lets loose and they act like that, why not? They're no better than the animals. Why? What's the difference between human beings and animals? Human beings can cultivate the mode of goodness, become very, very peaceful, and ultimately cultivate spiritual knowledge. So without that, anything can happen, and everything will happen. So, and that's also a symptom of the age of Kali. So Prabhupada is describing here, we have the different orders of life. The Brahmins are considered to be in what mode of nature? Goodness. How about Kshatriyas? Passion. Vaishyas? It's a combination there, right? And then Shudras? Ignorance. So Kshatriyas in the mode of passion, very, very passionate. To get things done, you need to be kind of passionate, and that's a good thing as long as it's monitored by the mode of goodness. That's why the Kshatriyas would be very, very intelligent. They'd have a board of a cabinet or a board of Brahmins to kind of keep an eye on things, and they would be intelligent to seek that counsel. And if they didn't seek that counsel, it's not just like the examples given of Janaka Pandit and, what was his name? No, that's king. Janaka Pandit was the prime minister for Chandragupta. And under his guidance, he actually put together a whole federation of states in India and pushed out the bad guys, if you want to call them that. And he was his state minister, and he lived in a little hut next to the palace. There was one time where the king didn't listen to him, so he just left. You're not going to listen to me. He just left. But he was just giving advice, and it's political and so on. So if you don't have good advice, good advisors who you listen to, then all these things can happen. Because of the intensity of the modes of nature. Just like it's described in the Vedas, that kings are attached to marrying more than one woman, gambling, and hunting. Sportsmen, like that, womanizer, these kind of things. Now, you won't find anything in the Vedas saying, don't do it. You know why? Because they're going to do it anyways. But the good advice is there. In fact, it's described that in the Shastras there's different instances of kings getting into a lot of trouble when they marry more than one wife. They go hunting. What was the other one? Gambling. So who lost everything because of gambling? Yeah, Yudhisthira. Like that. He just lost it all. Like that. The whole kingdom, everything. Right? And hunting, it's in the Ramayana. Parikshit's there, but also Dasarath. Dasarath is out hunting, and he had a very amazing ability. Just by hearing a sound of an animal, he could just, without even seeing the animal, he could shoot the arrow and get it just by sound. Like that. And Pandu had some troubles too. So he was out hunting along the Sarayu, heard this gurgling sound, thought it was some animal drinking water, and shot the arrow. And it was a young man, sage, who was getting water in his loda to bring back to his two elderly, crippled, ascetic parents living in the ashram. Shot him. So, and killed him. And he felt so bad about it. And I guess the last dying words were, you killed me, and I'm dying, but I'm the only one to take care of my parents up this path here. So he carried the body up the path, wanted to apologize to the parents that he accidentally killed their child, their son, who was taking care of them. And the father said that because you'd taken the time to come and apologize, I'll lessen the curse. Otherwise, you'd die right now. The curse is that you also will die due to separation from your son. And then the two of them just died, the mother and the father. So, and he had that curse, and that curse came true when Lord Ram left. So, and of course, there's many stories about kings and their wives. Someone here have taken a tour of the palace in Jaipur. Taken the tour? You've taken the tour and they tell you the stories. It was a Mohan Singh. He had many wives. The way he built the palace, he had these secret passageways so he can go from one wife to the next. Because if this wife found out he was going to that wife, or that wife found out he was going to, he'd get in a lot of trouble. So he had these secret passageways go between, because they don't get along. It's just even there in the Ramayana, Kaikeyi and Kaushalya, and there's enmity there, envy and enmity between the women and so on. So, and just, you can imagine that? And talk about husbands having a headache because of their wife. Can you imagine how many headaches you'd have if you had 10 wives? Or some of these harems and things like that. You have 10 wives, 20 wives, 100 wives. So it's not advised, not at all advised. But they do like that. So this very, very passionate person has got all these proclivities, so one has to be very, very careful. So if one is fortunate in that position to take good advice, but generally that's not seen, even to the point of killing your own brother or your parents. I think it probably gives the example of Aurangzeb here, that they say that Sahajan, his father, Sahajan, how do you say it? Is that how you say it? Sahajana. He's building the Taj Mahal, practically bankrupting the kingdom to build the thing. There's a lot of controversy about what it was before, a Shiva temple and this and that, and so many different things, and a myth about how much he loved montage. And it's a very, historically, you get into it, it's like, I don't know about all this. But the point was, his son was seeing him, so he finishes it, and then you know what he wanted to do? Across the river, build a black marble for himself. And Aurangzeb said, no way. He didn't like him anyways. He wanted to be the king, so that's when he imprisoned him. He imprisoned there in such a place where he could see the Taj Mahal the rest of his life and so on. And then, of course, then he killed his brother and this and that, and he rose to the top, and he was not a very nice person at all, right? There's so much history there. Very. Yes. From there, he could see the top of the temple, the light at night. And he was a real Hindu killer and temple demolisher and so on. So, all examples of how motive passion and ignorance can just destroy everything. So, understanding that Kamsa was in the same position. He actually wanted each of the sons to come. Vasudeva to deliver the sons, he was going to kill them. Because he just didn't, but now it switches. A materialistic person can't stand. Is so cruel and no good character and unforgiving. But here it's said here that Krishna is so kind that a person like Kamsa, just because he understood one thing about Krishna, they can't kill him. He's eternal. Because Prabhupada said he thought of Krishna unfavorably, but he becomes purified. Just see how kind Krishna is, that just a little thing, alpamasya sudharmasya trayate mahato bhayat, Krishna says in the Gita. Just a little something, that's all that's required, and Krishna's very, very kind, and that's all Krishna sees, that little bit of understanding or service or whatever it might be, and then Krishna just turns it all around and gives us more than we could possibly imagine. That's Krishna's position. That's the position of the devotees, that just even a little tiny bit, Krishna's so grateful. See how ungrateful Kamsa is. And cruel, that he would kill family members to rise to that position. But Krishna is so kind that just seemed a little favor, not even seeing everything else. He was such a nasty person, did so many horrible things, and Krishna, he understands this one thing about me, okay, back to Godhead, or liberated. It's just like it's described about Aghasura. Now, Aghasura was killed by Krishna. Krishna went inside and expanded himself, suffocated him, and it's said that the soul of Aghasura came out, and instead of just merging into the Brahman, which is the goal of the destination of many, many demons when they're killed by Krishna, they merge into the Brahman, which is not bad. I mean, the great yogis and impersonalists, they spend lifetimes just trying to attain Brahman. And here's this demon just gets whacked by Krishna, and they get merged in the Brahman for millions of years. Brahman, that the eternity bliss, you know. But Aghasura says because for a moment he was appreciating Krishna and the cowherd boys and how much fun they were having. He kind of went to the spiritual world. He didn't merge into the Brahman. Yes, but then he went like that. His destination, the acharyas say, wasn't the same because he was appreciating Krishna's devotees. They're having so much fun with Krishna. You know, all marching into my mouth. They're having so much fun. Just that little bit of appreciation, he went beyond just merging into the Brahman. So we should, and then Prabhupada ends the purport by explaining that what's to be said of one who knows Krishna perfectly from the descriptions of the Shastras like Bhagavad Gita. What is the verse we're trying to think of? Janma karma made that if you can understand my janma and my karma, my activities, my birth, tattvata, in truth, then you come back home, back to Godhead. You don't come back to this material world. So therefore Krishna, that's why Krishna comes. He comes in as many, many different avatars. He speaks Bhagavad Gita, sends his devotees, because he's just trying to get everyone out of this material world, have them understand who Krishna is, who he is, perfectly, and go back home, back to Godhead. But what does it mean to actually understand Krishna perfectly? Is it a philosophical achievement? Is it a theological achievement?
What the verse actually says, Dhamma comes to make divyam. The object of the word is divyam.
Yes.
So one understands in truth the transcendental nature of my birth and activities. So that's what we have to do. That is when you take birth.
Yeah. But, I mean, I'm sure that even just having a rudimentary understanding of who Krishna is very, very, very beneficial, because here we say Kamsa just knew one thing. Of the unlimited glories of the Lord, he knew one thing, that he can't kill Krishna, he's eternal. You know? I don't know, he just had to prove it to himself, and he did. So, but tattvata means actually to have a pure heart. One actually understands, yes. And understanding Krishna means, there was like one Indian gentleman came to Prabhupada and was talking how he was seeing Krishna, and Prabhupada said, okay, now serve Krishna. So that's what it means to understand Krishna, is you are fully engaged in devotional service. That's there in Bhagavad Gita also. Those who've come to the Brahma Bhuta platform, those who come to that platform beyond the modes of material nature, what do? They engage in the Lord's devotional service. That's a symptom of one who understands who Krishna is, my Lord and Master. And the natural response to that is one gives up serving the body and the senses and everything else in this material world, and serves Krishna, and dovetail everything in this material world. That's a symptom one has actually understood Krishna. And such a person is guaranteed, a samsaya, without a doubt, that they'll go back home, back to Godhead. So it's amazing what people will do in this material world. Prabhupada says, don't be astonished. Don't be what people will do to get ahead in this material world. It's actually very, very, very frightening. So the necessity of spreading Krishna consciousness is becoming more and more and more evident. Vinanda Maharaj, in one lecture, he's probably mentioned many, many times, that Prabhupada on morning walks devotees would sometimes come to Prabhupada and they would try to, out of the news, pick the most bizarre, horrible thing that's going on in the world and tell Prabhupada about it, just to prove the point that Kali Yuga is a horrible time. You know, just all these crazy, horrible things, violent things going on around the world. So, yes, it's a very, very horrible, ghastly time, and people are doing horrible, horrible things, unforgivable things. But in the midst of all that, we need to become Krishna conscious and spread Krishna consciousness. So, I was just thinking, I'll end with this, a realization or thought this morning I had was that Krishna says he's equal. Samaham samabhuteshu. Krishna's equal. So, if it's taken us millions of lifetimes to get to the point where we are now, the amount of Maya we're in, then if Krishna is equal, then take that many millions of lifetimes and get out. You know, just like if I'm $1,000 in debt, then I get $1,000 and I get out of debt. But Krishna isn't equal in that case, because in one lifetime or a few short lifetimes, you can actually erase millions of lifetimes of material consciousness and get out of the material world. But even if Krishna was just equal, and okay, you spent 1 million lifetimes getting this far away from Krishna, so spend 1 million lifetimes and just go back the other way. That's fair. Is that fair? That's fair. But Krishna is so kind that in one lifetime you can just go quickly back. Forget that millions of lifetimes of going away. Immediately come back. So Krishna is very, very, very kind and very, very helpful, especially in the form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his holy names. So we're very, very, very fortunate because, you know, just like, I don't know what they call it, insolvency or something like that. If you have all this debt and you die or something, then they go, okay, you know, 10 cents on the dollar or something like that. You quickly pay it off. You're forgiven, just like college debts. Do you have to worry about college debt sometime in your life? Right? So sometimes they forgive the debt. Okay, that's okay. Okay, you owe $100,000, just give me $100 and we'll just call it even. So Krishna's like that. Millions and millions of lifetimes in Maya. I'll tell you what, just one lifetime, serving, spreading of Krishna consciousness, Srila Prabhupada and ISKCON, chanting the holy names. Just one lifetime, just call it even. Back home, back to Godhead. So this is how kind Krishna is. Yeah. So we can end here. Any questions or comments?
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Oh. Should I do? Okay. One thing that comes to mind, because it's kind of a match for Narada Muni. Narada, it says in one of the purport, like that Narada Muni, he encouraged or he arranged by what he was saying that Kamsa would kill all the children leading up to Krishna, and the only way of thinking about that, I think, properly is that he wanted to, speed up the appearance of Krishna. But what about from Vasudev's point of view? You would think, well, okay, we're not going to, have these children and then have Kamsa kill them, so we'll just have to stop having children. But then Krishna wouldn't hear because he had to be the eighth son, So they were sacrificing that. Their children, understanding that Krishna would come, and when he came, he broke his promise and he took him across. He didn't give that son, but the fact that, as you say, it's mentioned in the purport that Kamsa, or maybe it's in the translation, that Kamsa knew that Krishna couldn't be killed, but then why didn't he just? Why did he do things that for the point where he's going to have to face him and be killed by Krishna? You think, well, it's hopeless to kill Krishna, so let me just cash out and go to Hawaii or something. Forget it.
Maybe his realization came at the end. It wasn't until the very, very end.
Oh, I don't know. That's a long shot, because right. I mean, it was just in the purport that that he knows that Krishna can't be killed.
Or he couldn't help himself. That must be it.
Yeah.
Just can't help. That's.
I mean, how did he know that? I mean, even aside from his own fight, he said, okay, you know, Kubali-Apada, he'll arrange to have killed. And if he gets through that, well, the rest of us will certainly kill him.
Right. And all the demons he sent to Vrindavan,
Yeah,
they
yeah.
all got killed.
Yeah. So, I mean, it wasn't much of a knowledge. It was like, what was it, hope against hope? Maybe I'm wrong, maybe you can't be.
Yeah. And then I guess he got the final realization at the wrestling arena.
Yeah,
He got it. Like that. Anything else? So we can end here. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.